Oh my God. This movie was amazing.
First of all, I had no idea what the movie was about. I've never seen him do this. Nicki Minaj should have been in the movie. Man.
It should have been her over Dula Pete. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MovieBuffs, a podcast where me and Will talk about all things movies and TV in Kenya and beyond. How you doing, Will?
Hey, guys. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. It's a very gloomy day in Nairobi, but we're cheering ourselves up by talking about two movies that we really loved for very different reasons. You already know what time it is. You've seen my coat. We're going to talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
It's Barbin time, baby.
It's Barbin time.
Yeah. So because we like joy and we gravitate towards joy, we're going to start with Barbie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, where to even start with this movie? First of all, it's a revelation. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was better, worse, or about what you thought the movie was going to be?
It was a lot more than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
But I still thought I would enjoy it, but like, it was like more than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what about you?
Yeah, I had really high expectations, and I really feel like they were exceeded. Like, if you can't tell by my freaking outfit, like, I was obsessed with this movie. But really quick, before we get into it, speaking of this outfit, if you're anything like me, I am obsessed with shopping. I mean, period. Locally, internationally. But when it comes to getting stuff internationally, I only use one people and one people. I only use one company and one company alone. That's Saw Personal Shoppers. They are so sick. Let me tell you something. I have gone to them so many times in a full panic, like, oh my God, I need an outfit for this event, or I really want to get this, like, can you help me get it? They can literally get anything into this country for you, anything legal, other stuff, go elsewhere. But anyways, if you're looking to buy stuff from ASOS, Zara, all of your favorite fast fashion brands, you have to check out Saw Personal Shoppers. Literally saw.personalshoppers on all streaming platforms. Jesus.
Yeah.
Social media platforms. They're fantastic. I love their team. They hooked me up with all of this Barbie core today, and I love them. Shout out, Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, back to regular programming, if I can get my words together.
Right.
Barbie. Yeah, definitely exceeded my expectations. I thought it was whimsical and poignant and powerful, and yeah, it's really unexpected. I feel like a lot of people think that it's like, oh, like it's like about like a Barbie doll, and it's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like this vapid, like type money grab type thing, but it's not that at all. It's a really beautiful picture on humanity, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think of like, oh yeah, it's Barbie, so it's just like some childish bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a proper movie, and it's a lot more than that. It's like, it's funny, it's dramatic. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting. Like, it's serious, but it's not serious at the same time.
It's not that serious.
Yeah, but it is serious. But then it's just like a nice experience to watch that movie. Like, yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Like, it was fun. Like, it's a fun time.
Fun. Yeah. All right, this is a hard movie to describe, so I'm just going to read the logline off of good old Wikipedia, which they're still doing the pink thing. I don't know if you guys have Googled, if you check out, like, Google anything relating to Barbie, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, anybody, your whole Google will turn pink and there'll be, like, sparkles everywhere.
The marketing campaign has been crazy.
No, like, the marketing, though. Like, let's even, you know what, before we even get into the actual film, I think it's worth it to talk about the marketing and the hype behind this film, because it was massive.
Yeah.
It was absolutely massive. I remember they announced at some point last year, maybe even the year before, that Greta Gerwig, who's a fabulous director and filmmaker, I love her. She's a fantastic artist. So news broke that she was going to make a movie about Barbie. And I remember, like, there was a whole thing online. People were like, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, what's it going to be about? Like, it's so stupid. Like, there was so much hate. And then slowly but surely the cast started to be revealed. So this must have been 2 years ago. But they said, Ryan Gosling was going to be Ken. Margot Robbie was going to be...
I only heard about it this year, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's because it had those... I mean, nothing in comparison to what, like, this summer has been, or, like, what it's been since, like, May or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so then, like, the cast started being revealed and people were, like, really scratching their heads, like, what... Okay, it's like grown ass actors. Like, this is a kids movie. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So there is so much like just hype and opinion surrounding the movie coming out, and I think oftentimes when a movie has that kind of like energy behind it, it really is either like a flop or it's like a bop. And this was truly, truly a bop. Anyways, enough on that. Let's get to this actual movie. Okay, logline time. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get the chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, essentially, to give some more context in our own words, Margot Robbie plays stereotypical Barbie. So that's like, you know, for all of our Barbie fans out there, that's like the Barbies that we all had, we all know. You know, the blonde hair, the outfits, you get the vibe. So, you know, Barbie's everything. She's chilling. Everything's good. And then, like, one day she starts, like, glitching. She asks, like, oh, have you guys ever thought about dying? And that kind of sets the tone now for the rest of the movie. She's now having an awareness of things that Barbies typically don't have, like about like life and death and all of these existential things. And so then she goes to Weird Barbie, who was one of my favorite characters, played by Kat McKinnon, which really hit for me because I certainly had a weird Barbie. Yeah. And so she's basically told like, hey, like there must be something wrong with the person who's playing with you. So like low key, go fix it in the real world, or else like Barbie Land will like explode. I don't know. I don't know the lore. So that's what she does. Yeah. And then Ryan Gosling, who is for real my favorite character in this movie.
He plays Ken.
Yeah, so he's obsessed with Barbie. His whole existence is about Barbie. And so he's like, Barbie, if you're going, I'm coming too. So Ken hitches a ride. They go to the real world. And then, that affects and changed Barbie Land. Yeah.
This movie is cool because like just how you're explaining, like it's literally like the whole Barbie thing. Mm-hmm. Like they live in Barbie Land, whatever. Mm-hmm. They have their houses, blah blah blah. They're all the women are called Barbie, but there's like different types because there's also different types of Barbie dolls, and then all the men are called Ken. Same thing, but then there's also Alan, which is Michael Cera.
Yeah. Which is a real doll that they made. Yeah, so Mattel really had a real doll called Alan. It didn't go well. It was meant to be a friend for Ken. Nobody cared, so they discontinued him. That's why there's only one Alan. Yeah. So basically what they do is like you explained, they go to now the real world. Yeah. So she can sort out the issues that she's having with, so like, that's basically the whole plot of the movie. Yeah. And just trying to save the whole Barbie Land thing. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the acting first. It feels like a good place to start. Yeah. So I thought everyone did a good job. I thought everyone did a great job. I thought it was really fun. Yeah. Let me start with the negative and start with the people who disappointed me. This is gonna be a hot take. But I thought that Issa Rae was useless in this movie. Like, I was really excited. I liked the idea of her being president. I thought it was so cute when Greta Gerwig was like, oh, yeah, in, like, my dreamland, Issa Rae is president, like, also mine, too. And I was like, oh, like, they'll be so fun. Like, I thought they would really lean into, like, Issa Rae's whole brand is being, like, an awkward black girl. So I thought that she would be, like, this awkward, like, president. I thought there was some really, like, fun stuff they could have played with there. But honestly, she kind of fell flat to me, like, performance-wise.
Really?
Yeah, I thought she fell flat.
I feel like I feel what you mean. Just in terms of the performance, I don't know. I don't think they gave her like enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like even with just like if you just think of the lines she had, it's like I could have done that. Yeah. Like not obviously not, but like you know what I mean. Yeah. It's like any actor could have done that. Like it's not like it was made specifically for her. It didn't feel like that. Like like how Alan was like there was no one better than Michael Cera for that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they could have leaned into like that wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff for her a little bit more. Like I kind of felt like, like she just fell flat to me. And I agree with you. I think it's probably like the writing for her. The writing in this movie is sensational. But I don't think that they gave Issa a lot. She just wasn't an important character.
She wasn't important. Basically. She didn't have like these funny moments I was expecting for her to have.
Yeah, they didn't give her enough of that. Yeah. And like being the president, they should have had her in more scenes, had her be a part of the main central plot a bit more. But she was just kind of like those background Barbies. Yeah. And I like, how they used like Weird Barbie a lot. I feel like that she should have been kind of in the fold.
Do you know what I mean? Like they could have really made her like, like they could have really played into that whole like awkward black girl like brand that she's built for herself. But she was just like that. They just didn't. I couldn't even like explain to you like her personality. You know who I also felt I wanted more from? Nchuti Gatwa, the guy from Sex Education, the black guy from Sex Education.
I was trying to figure out how to say his name.
Yeah, Nchuti.
Yeah.
So I love him. I adore him, and he's so like alive in Sex Education. Like he's such a good actor. Like
they didn't give him anything.
They didn't give him anything. They didn't give him anything.
Like,
I will say, at least he had like one moment of like a ha ha ha, not even a full laugh, like a quiet chuckle. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's like, come on now. Like, I thought that he was gonna play a little bit more of a prominent role. Like, you know what I mean?
I was thinking about that. Like, I feel like, these movies with these huge casts, and then like everyone is someone like big.
Yeah.
But there's like many, many people in the cast. I feel like that's always gonna happen,
Yeah.
Similar to like, okay, I don't even have an example right now, but like I just feel like sometimes you'd be like, oh, like that's that person, and then it's like, oh, that guy had like one line in the whole movie, and I'm like, why, like what was the point? And I feel like they did that for like there was a lot of side characters in this movie, which was cool, but like there's some people that we wanted to see more from. Yes. That being said, there are so many performances that I did adore. Let's talk about Ryan Gosling in what I think is one of the best roles of his career. And Ryan Gosling has had a sensational career. I love me some Rai. We should do an episode on him. I haven't seen like so many comedies with him.
Interesting.
Cause like
you've seen Crazy Stupid Love.
That's the only one I can think of that I've seen.
Nice Guys. I thought you were saying guys stop, and I was like, something happened. I
haven't seen that.
I don't think I have.
Like, what's another one? Like,
The Notebook, sensational.
Is that funny?
I mean, it's like
that's not funny. It's not a comedy.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other funny things.
There's a movie called Nice Guys.
Oh, I thought you had a different suggestion. Okay. Okay, Nice Guys. Okay, I'm actually I actually also can't think of like comedies.
Because like when I think of him, honestly, I don't even know how many movies I've actually seen with him in them. Yeah. But like when I think of comedies, like Ryan Gosling being funny, the only thing I can think of is Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah. Crazy Stupid Love, which I really like that movie. Yeah.
No, that is true. Like he is definitely known for his dramatic work, like so The Notebook being one of it.
He just surprised me how like goofy he was.
Yeah, he's so funny.
Even in Crazy Stupid Love, he's not like goofy funny.
He's the Hawkeye.
Yeah, he's just kind of like subtly funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this movie, he's like, it felt like those like comedy movies from back in the day. Like like how he was doing that shit.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that he nailed his character so much.
Yeah.
And like his Ken, I love his journey of not having a purpose to then beginning to find his purpose.
Yeah.
I really like when movies end on, and this is a spoiler alert, but it's been enough time. Go watch the movie. I really like movies that don't have like a cookie cutter clear ending for characters. Like I think if you really want us to believe that these characters are real people, like nobody's journey ever like continue. You know what I mean? That ever like stops really when you're still living, right? So I like that it ended with him beginning to figure out like who he is independent of Barbie. And I just thought that he showed that reality in a really like beautiful, powerful way. I also don't think that we often see men like grappling with their identity on screen. Like I can't think of many movies where we see like a lead male character who's like powerful and funny and commanding, but also like lacks the sense of like identity. And I thought it was just like beautifully shown with him. Like he got to be hilarious and emotional and cry and all. Like it felt like a really realized person, which is funny because he's a doll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. What did you think about Miss Margot Robbie?
Margot Robbie, she was good.
Yeah.
I always like her. I always think she kills every single time I see her.
Yeah, she's really good.
And she did really good in this movie. Especially with the more serious scenes, it was really nice, man. Like she was. I think she did an excellent job, man.
Yeah.
Like just like going from how she was in the beginning versus to later on in the movie, the development and all that.
It's a really satisfying arc. Yeah, it really is. And like Margot Robbie is Barbie, isn't she? Like, you know what I mean? Like she's so like that person. And I also felt like, similarly to Ken, I felt like it was a really realized character. She had some really nice like powerful moments, like emotional moments. She had some parts like where she was funny. To me she wasn't like the funniest per se, but I thought that she had her moments. And I like that I don't know. I think also just like for the representation of it all, I think like having somebody like in a Barbie role, somebody who looks like Margot Robbie, like be flawed and have like these very like human experiences. I think that that's really valuable to have on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other notable mentions in terms of the acting?
The acting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like.
There's Will Ferrell and America Ferrera.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to think. Okay. Yeah. So, Will Ferrell is hilarious, man. I always like him.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't know if this is necessarily just the acting or if it's just like the writing and the whole vibe of the movie, but like I really like how for a lot of the times it had like those vibes of those like 2000s comedies, like those Judd Apatow movies, and Will Ferrell being there like just really like brought that home, you know, like just that like goofy, like every other sentence is a joke, you know what I mean? Like, and Will Ferrell is like the perfect guy, and just the role he played, just being like the CEO of what's it called? Mattel. Yeah, that shit was perfect, man. It was really funny, man. Like, yeah.
I think this movie, an aspect of this movie that's worth noting is the tone of it, right? Like it has this over the top, grandiose vibe to it, but it's also very grounded in what we're talking about. Like we're talking about humanity, we're talking about patriarchy, we're talking about feminism, all these things, but it's painted in pink and blue and silver and gold, and it's beautiful. And I think when you think about, sorry to cut you off just real quick, someone like Will Ferrell, right? Like he totally plays into that like over the top vibe, because like he to me is like, when you think about like larger than life comedians, like Will Ferrell's at the top of the list. Like he's so like big and fills a space, like with his approach to humor. He's the perfect person to be in this movie. Like I love that they included him, because it totally plays into that like silly over the top aspect that is so part and parcel to the movie.
It even just like adds, like literally adds more to that by having someone like Will Ferrell play that role. Is like you know, you have this like goofy like comedy vibe that the movie has that's like reminds you of back in those days when they would just be like those kinds of comedy movies,
just jokes.
But then it has like the seriousness of like a 2023 movie, like just in there, just like a bit.
It has the depth of it of a 2023 movie.
It's really like dynamic, like
Let's talk about the writing. How'd you feel about the writing in the movie?
I like the writing so much, man. Like I really love the writing. I always wonder like what's the writing and what's like the actors improvising, and like a good example, you know, like that movie, what was it called? Don't Look Up.
Yeah. The one with Meryl Streep. With
Meryl Streep. Yeah. So she was the president in that movie. Yeah. So like the part where she's just like shitting on whatever they were trying to tell her. She's just like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember they were talking about how she just did like a continuous take of just saying that over and like different things every single time. And like I think that's really cool. Like I always like think about that, like, but the writing was really good in this movie in my opinion, like just to accomplish what they're trying to do, like being like a comedy movie like that, but still being able to have moments where it's like really serious and deep. I think the writing really accomplished that.
Yeah, I am fairly new to screenwriting, and something that I really admire with the shows and TV and films that we watch now is this idea of like voice, right? And like how different writers capture the voices of their characters and the world that they're in. I think it is a sensational thing to give a character voice that, well, let me back it up. I think it's an incredible thing to give a character a voice when they wouldn't typically have one. So someone like Barbie's obviously like don't talk, right? But like if Barbies were to talk, it's how Greta wrote them. Like, do you know what I mean? She built almost like this like language that is so incredible and feels so real, like the whole like my job is beaching. There's so many iconic lines in this, like, oh, I kind of lost interest in the patriarchy when I found out it wasn't about horses. Like there's so many iconic lines in this movie, and it feels like she understood these characters in the world that she built so deeply. She literally built a language for them. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like it had that kind of like animated, like artificial way of speaking, but then, you know, she uses that in our arsenal to create these moments of like real poignancy, which I think is Like, what a clever way of doing that.
Yeah.
You know, often the most simple things are the most universal and the most human. And that, to me, I think is, like, what this movie is, like, all about, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I guess you could call this as part of the writing. I also like how they incorporated music into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were like singing songs and basically kind of like a musical.
Yeah, like an old
vibe.
Hollywood musical.
Yeah. Where it's like, it's not really what the movie's about at all. But like in emotional moments, like they'll throw that in like here and there. And like, yeah, that shit was cool, man. Like Ryan Gosling singing.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool, man.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, I really loved how they use a lot of elements from, like, old Hollywood musicals in this.
Yeah,
Even, like,
yeah.
I watched a whole video about, like, the set design and how, like, a lot of it was, like, 2D effects, right? Like, the part where they're going to the real world.
Yeah.
And they're, like, in space. And they're, like, you know, like, they're on, like, an ocean. Like, those effects are all done with, like, people, like, pulling things. And, like, and it had that, like, old world, really charming quality to that movie. Like, it felt... Yeah, it felt, to your point, it's nostalgic, it's modern, and they blended the two so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better.
All right. So with that, what is your final grade for Barbie? And any final thoughts?
Final grade. It's out of 10, or is it? Oh, how
A, B, C, D.
Oh, A, B, C. I'll give it an A-.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Why the minus?
Why the minus? I don't even know, honestly. Like, maybe just because of the shortfalls with, like, Issa Rae. And I have beef with Nicki Minaj not being.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
No, like, Nicki
Minaj should have been in the movie, man.
It should have been her over Dua Peep. So Dua Lipa is like this like mermaid Barbie who like makes an appearance throughout, like she actually has a recurring role. Like she makes an appearance throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I get it. Dua Peep is hot. She's a
like
pop star. She's relevant for the Gen Z. I get it. But the original Barbie, her name is Onika Mirage. Okay? Onika Mirage. I cannot believe that she wasn't a Barbie. And I think it might have been a little bit of an age thing. Like, I think they might have been like, okay, she might be a little bit too old, but I don't care. I still wanted her to be a Barbie.
But then how old is Margot Robbie?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Look at me being ages.
And Ryan Gosling also.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, because Ryan Gosling is old. Those are her age mates.
Yeah.
So there's actually no excuse. Yeah, they should have had Onika all up in that movie. Not that little...
For me, I like to think she just didn't have time or some shit.
That's the nice.
But then she did make that song for the movie with Ice Spice.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't even her own song. They had to get a little Ice Spice on it.
Yeah.
No, Nicki should have had a bigger moment. She should have had like.
Man.
She should have had at least a cameo. She should have had at least 3 songs.
But you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Like just like we were saying, like if it was 2012,
period,
she would have been there for sure.
Yeah. Period. Definitely. All right, my final thoughts. I think this movie is an A. I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. I think it's perfect. Why not the A+? There's still places to reach.
Yeah.
There's still more movies to be seen.
Could always be better.
Could always be better. No, yeah, I think I give the A because, like, listen, although I kind of rolled my eyes at the whole, like, Issa Rae thing and kind of was a little bit disappointed about that, I ultimately, like, I got it. Like, I get, like, you know, like, they're all meant to be a little bit flat, as much as I think that they could have had more fun with it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's still good, though.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
Yeah, you guys should watch it.
Whether you're a man, whether you're 50, whether you're a woman, whether you're a baby, whether you're a girl, whether you're a tween, whatever you are.
It's just a good comedy movie to watch.
It's a great movie. It is surprisingly deep. It's such a fun, wild ride. It's very aesthetic. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, there's great visuals.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. All right, should we get to Oppy?
Let's go.
Alrighty. I'll let you read the description of Oppy mostly because
oh, shit.
I want to tackle that.
Well.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, while Will pulls up the log line, Oppenheimer. What a movie. I almost like want to take off my Barbie jacket, but it's okay. I'm going to commit to character. Yeah, this movie was, oh my God. This movie was amazing. I'm going to try and summarize it to a certain extent, but the bulk of the movie happens I don't. You know what? Let me not even do that.
I don't even know. I don't even know where they are.
I'm like, how do I even begin to? Because we all know. Oh, you got it?
Yeah. So so during World War II, Lieutenant General Leslie Groves Jr. appoints physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer to work on the top secret Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer and a team of scientists spend years developing and designing the atomic bomb. Their work comes to fruition on July 16, 1945, as they witness the world's first nuclear explosion, forever changing the course of history. So that's what it's about, guys.
Yes. So essentially, in this film, we focus on the events leading up to and following the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, World War II. So we see a lot about, peppered throughout the film is about Oppenheimer. Let's start there. It's about... The bulk of the film is from his perspective. So if you've watched the movie, all of the parts that are in color are from Oppenheimer's perspective. The parts that are in black and white are things that, like, that's factual. Like, that it happened that way, the way that we're watching it. Everything else in color is from Oppenheimer's perspective, in case you didn't know.
Okay, so now the things from his perspective, it's up to... Like, you can't know for sure because it's his perspective. Okay.
Yes.
That's
cool. I
wanted to know the difference between the black and white and the normal.
Yeah. Because ultimately, this is a portrait of a very complicated man, a very controversial figure who did something that changed the world forever. He felt bad about. He didn't feel bad about. His feelings about it are confusing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's meant to be the case because... Like, how can you create something like that and not have complicated feelings about it, right? Like, there's an element of pride, an element of joy and accomplishment and satisfaction. And there's an element of depression and guilt and all of this. And I thought that they were all beautifully explored in the movie and shown. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I thought it was really great. All right, let's start with acting, like we did with Barbie for this movie. Cillian Murphy, who Killian? It's Killian.
It's Killian.
It's Killian. It's Killian. All right. I should have gone with my first instinct. I made fun of him in our last couple episodes. I said that he was a ghost. But let me tell you, that ghost is a good actor. That's a good actor. That ghost is acting. It's acting. He was sensational in this movie.
Yeah.
He was so good. We could honestly do a whole video, I think, or a whole episode on just his acting. But I mean, the accent, the body language. I watched a couple of short videos about Oppenheimer, and I saw like he really like nailed like even the way that he would stand like with his hands on his hips, like that really was Oppenheimer, and even kind of like that old timey accent, that transatlantic accent that he kind of has. Like we don't hear that anymore, and it was just. I mean, he killed it.
Yeah.
And those moments like of intensity and the anxiety attacks that we see him having, and like I don't know, I just thought that he really like. I mean, this man I feel like lives like his brilliance is his burden, right? Which is like that's like the refrain of this movie, right? Like we constantly hear that struggle of having a mind capable of figuring out an atomic bomb, right? And so the whole time there's this heaviness that Cillian is able to really show in a really beautiful, real way that this real life man probably carried with him throughout every moment of his life. And I thought that it was just a really memorable performance. And I'm calling it now. He's getting the Oscar for Best Actor, for sure. So? I don't even see anything. He's going to get it for sure. I mean, this whole film is Oscar bait, right? Like, it's about a historical figure. Her budget was huge. They dropped real-ass bombs in this movie. That
usually happens with Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. And even, the Christopher Nolan of it all, like, he's an Oscar-grabbing kind of guy. Like, this is going to get all the Oscars. But I do think that Cillian will get it for Best Actor because he was such a force in this movie.
Yeah. Also, so besides Cillian Murphy, like, this movie has a bunch of huge actors, and I think they all did really well, even though the story wasn't focused on them as much, but I think they really just brought everything together so nicely, man. Like we had Robert Downey Jr., we had Matt Damon.
Robert Downey, I think this is his best role.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
I've never seen him do this. I've never seen him like play a person like that. I don't know if there's another example. Oh,
really? He did do Chaplin in the 90s. He did.
He also did Sherlock. But yeah, like that's not serious like this, man. So like I thought he was crazy. It was wild. You know, at first, like the first like 2 minutes he was on the screen, 2-3 minutes on the screen, I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
I thought it was like some old guy. I was like, that's Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. But yeah, man. Emily Blunt was in this movie. She killed it.
Yeah.
Rami Malek.
There's so much. I even want to stop you because like there's so many acting performances to really like shout out real quick. Like going back to RDJ, like he really like I didn't even know that he was capable of this kind of acting because like well he's good. He's good. But I didn't. Okay, granted, I haven't seen. I think I've only seen like his goofy stuff. To be honest, like Iron Man and like Sherlock, like those kinds of things. So maybe I forgot that he was capable of acting on this caliber because I think jealousy is an interesting, I think, emotion to portray. And I don't know about y'all, but I was really caught off guard when it was like, it ended up being him behind everything. Like I was like, oh my God, like that really, I was really shocked about that. Like he really played that quiet kind of like calculation really well. Yeah. And yeah, I have this a standout role for Robert. Same thing with Matt. I thought Matt was acting.
That was like my favorite Matt Damon role, man. He was just killing me. Like he was just funny the whole time.
One thing Matt Damon knows how to do is how to be like an American. You know what I mean? Like he can really like
he was doing that shit. So he sounded like a
lot of like American. I'm American man. Like I'm gonna kill you, American man. You know what I mean? Like he really like.
He's coming like a real general, man. Like
because he plays those like army. He does like he's so good at that. Yeah. Like he's so like he really is that guy. And so there's something I just like felt like really satisfied watching him because I was like, yeah, it like made sense. You're like, yeah, of course this is Matt Damon. You know what I mean? That feels like this role felt like a natural evolution of his career. I was like, yeah, you're that guy. Florence Pugh, who I adore. We talked about her in our Don't Worry Darling episode. If you haven't checked it out on all streaming platforms. Yeah. She was, naked this whole movie. Good for her. She's very like free the nipple. Love it for her. Like she played Jean Tatlock, who had a real life affair with Oppenheimer. And that girl caused problems. Yeah. The whole reason that these guys were like, oh, like looking at him sideways, Oppenheimer, for being a communist was because he was playing the devil. She was like, dancing in the sheets with Florence Pugh's character. Yeah. Because she was like a communist with a capital C. She was like, yeah, let's throw out the wealth. Let's do this red style. Yeah. So yeah, she's naked the whole movie. She's fucking doing Florence Pugh things. You know what I'm saying? I thought Emily Blunt, I adore her. I'm happy to see her anytime on screen. I thought she was lovely. I thought she was really good. Standout, I think one of the best scenes to me in the movie besides the bomb scene was that scene of her at the security clearance hearing, where she like in the
deposition or whatever it was.
Yeah, the security clearance hearing. Okay. Yeah, and so she starts off that scene and she's like, she's like really demure and she's kind of like scared, intimidated, and then she just switches and she's like, "Oh, you thought? Oh, you thought? I ride for this man." I loved that. I love Emily Blunt. Yeah. Yeah. Any other performances that you would like to discuss?
Performances as themselves, like, not really.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there was the guy who at the security clearance hearing, the guy who was now like questioning him. He's called Jason Clarke. Yeah. I don't know him so well, but I recognized him. And I really like those scenes when in that part and that the way they were talking to each other, like it's really intense. I really like that part. Like I don't know, I really like court scenes in like anything. I don't know why. It's just it's so intense, man. Yeah.
Many people didn't need to be in this movie.
There's so many like
Josh Peck did not need to be in this movie.
Josh Peck, man.
Josh Peck got into the trailer and he was not in this movie. Bro. He pressed that button, pop, and then he left.
He just pressed the button, man.
All he was just showing here like shaking. He's like, oh, it could burn the atmosphere. That's it.
Like if you've seen the trailer and you saw Josh Peck in the trailer, that's the same amount you'll see him in the movie.
Exactly. Like, in fact, like, if you want to see Josh Peck in the movie, just watch the trailer. Like if you're going for Josh Peck, just watch the trailer. Like he's not in this movie. He is not. But I still love for him. I love Josh Peck, and I like seeing him like getting back. Like I like that he's getting roles. I love it. I love to see him. He doesn't need to be there. He didn't. Also, Rami didn't need to be in this movie. He just came, he blew the whistle.
It was a bit unnecessary, but it's always nice to see Rami.
Yeah, we love Rami. Like The whole movie, he makes his Rami face. You know, the one where
he's like, just like,
he's just
like serious, man. Like
he's always just kind of like has this really like awkward, like serious face. I love it. And no matter what character he's playing, they go make that face, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Oh,
but Rami didn't used to be in this movie.
What's his name? Gary Oldman.
Ah, yes.
As Harry S. Truman, which I just found out today. Yes. Yeah, that was crazy.
Another standout line when he called Oppenheimer a crybaby. Iconic.
Yeah. Keep that cry. Don't let that crybaby back in my office or whatever.
Get him out of the Oval.
Yeah. No, that scene was cool.
That scene was cool.
Just finding out that it was Gary Oldman, I fucking love Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's even playing American presidents. He's
love
British,
it.
man. Like, that shit's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a incredible actor. I really like Gary.
A lot of Brits in this movie. Now that I think about it, Emily, Florence, Gary.
Florence Pugh's British.
She very much so. She, I think, is one of the best accent actors like of our generation.
Yeah.
Homegirl can do an accent.
But
she said,
Killian is British.
Oh yeah. He's Irish, no?
Irish.
He's Irish.
Irish. Okay.
There you go.
Hey, they would get so mad if they heard me say that.
Apologies to the Brits listening. We're so sorry. We love you. Yeah, all right. So, and we could talk about actors forever, but let's move on. Cinematography, gorgeous movie, gorgeous.
Ooh, yeah, man. I mean, crazy.
Let's talk about the bombs. I mean, to me, cinematography in this movie, like, it's about those bombs. Because, like, that bomb, first of all, the whole Trinity test sequence had me stressed.
Yeah.
Like, I was really like, oh my God, like, what's about to happen? Like, oh my God. Yeah, it was really stressful.
Somehow you can't be prepared for the bomb.
No, you're not.
There's somehow, like, the build up to it is so long.
It's so long.
And even just the movie itself, like, you're, like, an hour in, or, like, 2 hours into the movie.
How many times did I tell you when we were at the theater? I was like, so like when they about to drop this bomb? Like, it's been like 2 hours. They gonna drop this bomb or what?
You're like 2 hours into the movie. The build up to it is slow. The scene is slow, but you're still there's no way you can be prepared for it. And like I really liked that.
Yeah.
Sound design was crazy.
Oh my God. We can't. We have to even put a pause in because the sound design's a whole other topic.
It was crazy.
But yeah, I think I mean, this is a beautiful movie, right? Like the quality. I read somewhere that he shot on film, like for real.
Yeah, on the IMAX thing. Yeah.
Which is sensational.
If you guys have an opportunity to like, if wherever you live there's an IMAX, like a real IMAX theater, there probably isn't, but apparently it's way better. But like even just a regular IMAX cinema, even just with like the sound and all that. Mm-hmm. The experience will be a lot better. But like, man, the sound design, even like the visuals was crazy.
Yeah, we gotta go back to these visuals, man. Like I really think it was a beautiful film, and like there are so many just like Los Alamos, like that's really clever shots. I think one of my favorite ones was the part where the people are like stomping their feet. We see it in the beginning of the film. When we catch up to it later, we find out that it's post Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and everyone's like lit and happy. That I think was I thought it was a beautiful shot, and I thought I love when movies show anxiety like that. You know what I mean? Because
I really like that. Like like going back to the sound design, like it was just how they used like the fact of like a bomb blast. I really like how they just use that as like a theme with the sound in the movie. So even sounds that had nothing to do with a bomb, like they would come out of nowhere really fast, really loud out of nowhere. Like the times where he's like, I don't know if he's like lost in his thoughts or he's kind of spacing out and he's like hearing noises and then like he comes back and it's super loud. Like that shit was crazy. Like it was just making you like anticipate now the bomb even more. Like
I really like that. So my diagnosis on why that was such a prevalent thing in the sound design of this movie, like a lot of it is that you see something, then you hear it. Most notably with the bombs. And I really think that is an allegory for the effect of the bombs, right? Like I think that these scientists, they were, they got them in a really hasty manner, and they built Los Alamos. They were told make an atomic bomb. Like it all happened like really quickly for something that would change the course of humanity as we know it. And they had no idea the effect of what they were doing, right? Like Oppenheimer thought that like 20,000 people would die, 150,000 people did. Like there was such a disconnect between what they were creating and the effect of it. And that to me is why I felt like that was that choice of the sound, right? Because to me, the visual seeing it is creating the bomb. Then the sound now is like the impact, which comes so much later. It's so much louder. It's oppressive. It's scary. That was kind of the way that I thought that it was. Like, to me, it felt like a metaphor for the impact of this thing that they did, and the reality, and how they had no idea what they were really in store for. But they're like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And like that's dope. Like, that's a really good take.
Thank you.
Yeah. But like, yeah, even just going back to like the sound design plus the visuals and all that. That's a thing also that I knew was going to be good, because Christopher Nolan movies. Yeah. Like, if you guys don't know, he's like notoriously refuses to use CGI where he doesn't feel like he should. And so it leads to him having these like really realistic visuals of certain things that happen. Like, if he's going to blow something up, he's going to do it for real, you know? If like, one example is for Interstellar, they literally grew a whole field of corn, of maize. And just for the few scenes that they were shooting with it, few scenes, then afterwards they sold the maize. So like, he's really like practical and hands-on with the effects, so he doesn't like using like CGI and special effects as much. Yeah. And this movie probably translates that the best out of any of the ones I've seen by him. Yeah. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the level of planning, and I mean, it's crazy what probably went into this movie, because just everything was so meticulous. It felt like, I think, of the other films that I saw of Christopher Nolan, I felt like this one, I think, had the strongest identity. Like, I think that he really understood his subject and how he wanted to show his subject. Like, it almost felt like this is the story he's been waiting to tell his whole life, almost.
It was crazy, yeah. Yeah, and it's Christopher Nolan, it has elements of all the things that he usually does,
Christopher Nolan, he grew up in the U.S. during this time. Like, he grew up during, like, the whole communism stuff and everything, and during World War II. So, like, there's that element of like, this feels really close to home for him, because I think he also captured the sociocultural feeling at the time, like this fear, this shock, this desperation that war times come with. Like, I thought like he really captured that feeling of like, nah, this is war, nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to figure out how to protect ourselves. And yeah, I thought that it was clear that he really, like, that was something that he really understood, and was a point in time that he really connected with and had a connection to. Yeah. Yeah. Right. All right. We could talk about Oppenheimer forever, but let me ask you, final thoughts, final grade, Oppy.
Oh, this is tough, man.
Yeah.
This is tough. I might say B plus, B or B plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's low. Tell me why. Or lower than I thought that you would put.
Well, I feel like if I had, first of all, I had no idea what the movie was about before I watched it. Like, not so well. Yeah. I think I'll do B plus, but like, the only reason is because I found parts of the movie a bit slow. I also found parts where like I didn't really know what was happening, and I felt like those parts stretched on for a bit too long while I'm actually watching it. And yeah, that's probably why. But other than that, I enjoyed it a lot. A lot.
Yeah. I think I would give this an A. I don't think it's an A plus for similar reasons. I appreciate the slower pacing. It's, again, like a very like old school approach to like filmmaking. I think to your point, it feels like there's a part of me that's like, oh, I think I would have enjoyed it even more if I had like watched a documentary beforehand and like knew more. Like, it almost kind of feels like this movie requires some like a disclaimer beforehand, like kind of giving you a little bit of like guidance in terms of like historically like what happened. Yeah. I think going in blind like how we did,
it'll make you enjoy it a bit more.
You know what I mean? Like, we low-key had a hard time figuring out like what was going on. Like, I don't think I was prepared to do the amount of calculations that I had to do,
like, you know what I mean?
In the movie.
Like, there's just parts like it shows them in court, then he's like building the bomb, then it's like the hearing, and it's like it's just going back, and like I remember asking you, like, what are they talking about? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I just felt like
The timeline was super hard.
Yeah. If
that one I really struggled
if I felt
with.
like that less during the movie, then I would have definitely
Yeah, exactly. My dad, so he actually, so my dad watched an Oppenheimer documentary by accident, thinking that it was like Oppenheimer. Then when he realized that, he went to go watch Oppenheimer, and I think that's why I brought it up, because my dad really enjoyed it, and he was like, yeah, thank God I watched the documentary, because I like, it gave me the context that I needed to really like appreciate and enjoy the film.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, try and watch something. Even like a little YouTube video. It'll be helpful.
YouTube videos. They're like, watch this before you watch Oppenheimer. And then I forgot to watch it.
Yeah, there's so many. I would definitely suggest watching one of those so that you don't have to do like the mental gymnastics that Will and I had to do to figure out what was going on in this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. That's all we have for you today. As always, follow us on all streaming platforms at MovieBuffs Kenya, everywhere, anywhere you could find anything that you consume. We love you.
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it.
Talk later.